Hello, my friend. Welcome back. I am very glad you are here with me today. Wherever you are listening from, maybe your room is quiet. Maybe the street outside is busy. Maybe it is early morning or very late at night. I want you to know something first. You are not listening alone. I am here with you. And for the next little while, you do not need to hurry, explain yourself, or be anyone else. Today, I want to talk about something gentle, but very real. Something many people feel, but rarely say out loud. Today, I want to talk about the moment when you want to be alone, but you still feel lonely. Maybe you know this feeling very well. You close the door. You turn off your phone. You finally get the quiet you asked for. And yet, instead of peace, there is a strange emptiness, a soft ache in the chest, a question without words. Why do I want space, but also want someone to notice me? If this feeling has visited you before, you are not strange. You are human. Let me tell you a small story. I remember one evening, not very long ago. The day had been full messages, conversations, responsibilities, noise. Nothing terrible happened, but everything felt heavy. When the day finally ended, I said to myself, I just want to be alone. So I went home. I made a simple meal. I sat by the window with a cup of tea. At first, it felt good. The silence was clean. No one needed anything from me. But after some time, I noticed something. The room felt too quiet. The clock felt loud. My thoughts started speaking. Instead, I did not want to talk to anyone, but I also did not want to feel invisible. And I remember thinking, very quietly, I want connection, but I don't want effort. Maybe you've had a moment like this too. You do not want to explain your feelings. You do not want to perform happiness. You do not want small talk. You just want someone to sit near you. Someone who understands without questions. This is a very delicate place to be, and language lives here too. When we say, I want to be alone, sometimes we really mean, I want to rest from the world. When we say, I feel lonely, sometimes we really mean, I want to feel seen. Let me share another scene with you. Imagine a Sunday afternoon. The sky is gray, but not sad. Just quiet. You have no plans, no messages waiting, no urgent tasks. You sit on your bed or your sofa. Your phone is in your hand. You scroll and scroll and scroll. You see people together, smiling, traveling, eating, living. And slowly, without noticing, your chest becomes tight. You put the phone down. You think, I don't want to go out. But you also think, why does it feel like everyone else belongs somewhere? This is not jealousy. This is longing. And there is an important English word here. Lonely. Let's say it together. Slowly. Lonely. Not alone. Alone is about space. Lonely is about connection. You can be alone and peaceful. You can be surrounded by people and lonely. Now try this sentence with me. Say it gently. I want to be alone tonight. Good. Now try this one. I feel lonely sometimes. Notice the difference, not just in meaning, but in emotion. Language carries feeling. And when we learn English, we are not only learning words. We are learning how to tell the truth softly. Sometimes the truth is confusing. I want to be alone, but I don't want to feel forgotten. I want quiet, but I don't want emptiness. I want rest, but I still want warmth. Let me tell you about a student I once had. She was very kind, very thoughtful, but often tired. One day she said to me, Thomas, I don't like people these days. I just want to stay home. I listened. Then she said something else. But when I stay home too long, I feel sad. I feel like nobody needs me. That sentence stayed with me. Nobody needs me. In English. This is a heavy sentence. It carries fear. Let's practice a softer one. I need time for myself. Say it slowly. I need time for myself. This sentence is not selfish. It is honest. Now another one. I still want connection. Connection. A beautiful word. Connection does not always mean conversation. Sometimes it means presence. Sometimes it means listening. Sometimes it means being understood without speaking. I think many people who learn English feel this very deeply. And you want to speak, but you are tired of trying. You want to connect, but you are afraid of mistakes, so you stay quiet. And in that quiet, loneliness grows. But let me tell you something important. Silence is not the enemy. Disconnection is. There is a difference. I remember walking alone one night. The street was almost empty. The air was cool. I felt calm, not lonely, because in that moment, I felt connected to myself. But there were other nights when I sat in a full room and felt completely alone. So what changes? Not the number of people, not the noise level. What changes is whether we feel allowed to be ourselves. And this is why language matters so much. When you learn to say simple, true sentences, you create bridges, not big bridges, small ones. I'm tired today. I don't feel like talking, but I'm glad you're here. I need a quiet day. I miss you, even if I don't know what to say. These sentences are not advanced English, but they are advanced humanity. Let's repeat one together. I don't feel like talking, but I'm glad you're here. Say it slowly. This sentence holds two truths at the same time. And life is often like that. We are not simple. We are layered. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you allowed yourself to feel lonely, without judging yourself for it? Loneliness does not mean you are weak. It means you are aware. It means your heart knows what connection feels like. There is another English phrase I love. Just being, not doing, not proving, not improving. Just being. Try saying it. I just want to be. Sometimes, when you want to be alone, your soul is asking for stillness. And when you feel lonely, your soul is asking for resonance. Someone to feel with you. I think this is why podcasts feel comforting. Why voices feel close. You may not know me, but you are listening. And in listening, there is connection. This is not magic. It is human. Let me tell you one more story. There was a morning when I woke up very early. The city was quiet. The light was soft. I did not check my phone. I did not speak. I made coffee. I sat down, and I felt complete. No loneliness, no rush, just presence. But later that same day, surrounded by people, I felt tired and empty. So I learned something. Loneliness is not about being alone. It is about being unseen. And learning English slowly, kindly, is one way of making yourself seen, not perfect, not fluent. Seen when you say, "This is hard for me." When you say, "I'm learning." When you say, "Please speak slowly." You are not just practicing English. You are practicing self-respect. Let's practice a sentence that many people need. It's okay to feel this way. Say it. It's okay to feel this way. Sometimes we want to be alone because we are overwhelmed. Sometimes we feel lonely because we care deeply. Both are valid. Both deserve kindness. If today you want space, take it. If today you want warmth, allow it. You do not have to choose one forever. And remember, you can practice English even in quiet moments. Describe your room. Describe your feeling. Describe your breath. Language is not only for speaking to others, it is also for understanding yourself. Before we end, I want to leave you with one last thought. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not strange for wanting distance and closeness at the same time. That tension means you are alive. And every time you listen, repeat, and reflect, you are building a bridge slowly between your inner world and the outside one. Let me stay with you a little longer. I want to slow everything down again, because this feeling we are talking about does not like to be rushed. When you want to be alone but still feel lonely, it is often because something inside you is asking to be heard, not fixed, not solved, just noticed. Sometimes I imagine this feeling like sitting by a window on a rainy day. You are inside. You are safe. You chose to be there. And yet, when you look outside, you feel a quiet longing, not to go out into the rain, but to feel that someone else is also watching the same sky. I think many people confuse loneliness with weakness. But loneliness is actually sensitivity. It means you notice absence, so it means you value presence. A person who never feels lonely is often a person who has stopped listening to themselves. When I was younger, I believed that wanting to be alone meant I was strong and independent. And sometimes, yes, it did. But other times, it was something else. It was protection. It was my way of saying, I don't have the energy to explain myself right now. Have you ever felt that you don't want company? Because company means questions. How are you? What's wrong? Why are you so quiet? And you don't have the words, not in your own language, not in English, not in any language. So you choose silence, but silence can be gentle or heavy. Gentle silence feels like rest. Heavy silence feels like disappearance. Learning to tell the difference is part of growing not just in English, but in life. There is a very simple English sentence I want you to hold on to. I need space, not distance. Say it slowly. I need space, not distance. Space means room to breathe. Distance means separation. Many people only hear the word alone and think it means rejection, but often it means recovery. Let me tell you about another quiet moment. I was sitting in a cafe once, alone, with my notebook open. I was not writing. I was just looking at the page. People came in and out. Cups touched tables. Soft conversations floated through the air. I felt calm. I felt present. And then someone sat at the table next to me and started laughing loudly with a friend. Not in a bad way. Just full, open laughter. Suddenly, something inside me shifted. I didn't want to join them, but I felt a small ache. Not because I was excluded, I chose to be alone, but because I remembered how it feels to share a moment. This is important. Feeling lonely does not always mean you want to change your situation. Sometimes it simply means you remember connection, and memory can be both warm and painful. In English, we often say, I miss something. I miss talking. I miss being understood. I miss feeling close. Missing does not mean you want the past back exactly as it was. It means you recognize what mattered. Let's practice one sentence together. I miss being understood. Say it gently. This sentence is very honest. And honesty, even quiet honesty, is strength. When you learn English through feelings like this, the language stays with you. Because it is not just information. It is experience. I often tell my listeners that fluency is not speed. Fluency is comfort. It is the ability to sit with a sentence and let it breathe. Just like emotions. Sometimes, when you feel lonely, your mind becomes loud. Thoughts repeat. Questions circle. Why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal? Why do I push people away and then miss them? If these questions visit you, let them sit down. You don't have to answer them today. There is another English phrase that can help. I'm figuring things out. Repeat it. I'm figuring things out. This sentence gives you permission to be unfinished. And unfinished does not mean failing. It means alive. Let me speak to you very directly for a moment. If you are learning English and you often feel lonely, you are not alone in that loneliness. Many people learning a new language feel invisible. They think deeply, but cannot express easily. They feel rich inside, but simple outside. That gap can hurt. You want to say something meaningful, but only simple words come out. You want to show who you are, but the language feels too small. So you stay quiet, and others think you are distant. But inside, you are full. This is why I always say simple English is not empty English. I feel tired. I feel lost. I feel quiet today. These are complete sentences, complete feelings. Try this one. I don't have the words yet. Say it slowly. You are not refusing connection. You are preparing for it. Sometimes being alone is part of learning how to return. Let me share one last image with you. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean. You are not swimming. You are not leaving. You are just standing there, feeling the water touch your feet and then move away. That movement coming close, pulling back is natural. So is your need for closeness and solitude. You do not need to force yourself to be social. You do not need to force yourself to be strong. You only need to be honest with yourself first. And if English is the language you are using to explore that honesty, then you are doing something very brave. As we come to the end of this quiet time together, I want you to remember this. You can choose to be alone and still deserve connection. You can feel lonely and still trust yourself. You can be quiet and still be deeply present. This voice you are listening to, it is just a reminder that your inner world matters, that your pace is okay. Let's stay here a little longer, quietly, without needing to arrive anywhere. Sometimes, after we think we have finished a thought, another one comes softer, deeper. That is how emotions work. And that is how language works, too. I want to talk about something very small now. Something that often happens when you are alone. You notice sounds, the hum of a fan, the ticking of a clock, a car passing far away. When you are with people, these sounds disappear. But when you are alone, they return. They become companions. In moments like this, loneliness can feel close, not loud, not dramatic, just present. And many people try to escape this feeling. They turn on music, they scroll, they fill the space. But sometimes, loneliness is not asking to be filled. Sometimes it is asking to be understood. There is a sentence in English that sounds simple, but holds a lot. I'm sitting with my feeling. Try saying it. I'm sitting with my feelings. This sentence does not promise change. It promises honesty. I remember a time when I avoided being alone because I was afraid of what I would feel. I thought silence would make things worse. But one evening, I had no choice. The house was empty. The phone was quiet. And I stayed. At first, my thoughts were restless. They moved quickly, like people trying to leave a room at the same time. But slowly, they became tired. And under the noise, there was something else, a softer feeling. Not loneliness exactly, more like tenderness. I realized then that some loneliness is not about missing others. It is about meeting yourself for the first time in a while, and that meeting can feel awkward. You don't know what to say to yourself. You don't know how long to stay. You don't know if you like the silence, but you stay anyway. In English, we say, I'm learning to be okay with this. Say it gently. I'm learning to be okay with this. Notice the word learning, not forcing, not mastering. Learning. Learning takes time and patience. Just like language, many people think confidence comes from being surrounded by others. But often, confidence is born in solitude when you learn that you can sit with yourself and not run away. Loneliness feels different when you trust yourself. It still exists, but it does not control you. It becomes a signal, not a sentence. It says, something matters to you, not something is wrong with you. Let me offer you another sentence. I can feel this and still be okay. Repeat it slowly. This is a powerful sentence. Seloko. It allows complexity. You do not need to choose between being alone and being connected. Life moves between these two states, like breathing in and breathing out. If you only breathe in, you suffocate. If you only breathe out, you disappear. Balance is not stillness, balance is movement. And language helps us name that movement. Sometimes, when you feel lonely, you might think you are failing at life, especially if others seem busy, social, successful. But quiet seasons are not empty seasons. They are listening seasons. They are seasons where you notice what you actually need, not what you are supposed to want. There is a gentle English phrase I love. It's enough for today. Say it. It's enough for today. This sentence can end many inner battles. You do not need to solve loneliness today. You do not need to become different today, Turi. You do not need to explain yourself today. It is enough to notice, as we slowly prepare to leave this space, I want you to carry one idea with you. Wanting to be alone does not mean you are closing your heart. Feeling lonely does not mean your heart is empty. It means your heart is honest, and honesty is where real language lives. If you practice English from this place, from truth, from softness, from patience, your words will grow naturally, not fast, but real. And you will find, one day, that being alone feels less sharp, that loneliness feels less frightening, because you have learned how to sit with both. I'm still here with you. Sometimes, after we think we have reached the end, there is another quiet door that opens. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to invite us to step inside. I want to talk now about the moments when loneliness shows up unexpectedly. Not at night, not when you are clearly alone, but in the middle of ordinary life. You are doing something simple, washing dishes, walking to the store, waiting for a message that does not come, and suddenly, there it is, a hollow feeling, a soft drop in the stomach. Nothing changed around you, but something shifted inside you. This kind of loneliness is confusing because you did not ask for it. In English, there is a phrase for moments like this. It hit me suddenly. Try saying it. It hit me suddenly. Loneliness often arrives like that, quietly, without permission. And when it comes, many people tell themselves they should not feel this way. I have food, I have a job, I have people in my life. But feelings do not follow logic. Feelings follow meaning. Loneliness is not about what you have. It is about what feels missing in this moment. And what is missing is often not a person, but a sense of being understood. Let me tell you something gently. You can feel lonely even when people care about you, because care is not the same as connection. Connection happens when you feel safe enough to be real. And being real takes energy. Sometimes you do not have that energy. So you choose to be alone. But the need for connection does not disappear. It just waits quietly. I want you to practice one more sentence with me. A very honest one. I don't know what I need right now. Say it slowly. This sentence gives you permission to be uncertain. Uncertainty is not failure. It is awareness. Many people rush to label themselves. I'm an introvert. I'm antisocial. I'm broken. But most of the time, you are simply tired, or sensitive, or growing. There is another English word that fits well here. Tender. Say it. Tender. When you want to be alone but still feel lonely. You are often in a tender state. Easily touched. Easily affected. And tender things need care, not pressure. If you are listening to this and thinking, this is exactly how I feel, then I want you to hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not behind. You are not weak. You are not too much. You are just in between rest and connection, between silence and expression, between who you were and who you are becoming. Language lives in this in-between space. That is why learning English through feeling is powerful, because feelings do not rush. They ask us to slow down, to choose words carefully, to listen. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one last sentence to carry into your day or your night. I'm allowed to take my time. Say it. Let it sit with you. You do not need to hurry into connection. You do not need to hurry out of loneliness. You do not need to hurry into fluency. Everything meaningful grows slowly. And if today you choose to be alone, let it be a kind aloneness. If today you feel lonely, let it be a gentle signal, not a judgment. You are learning how to live, and you are learning how to speak about that life. Both take courage. I want to offer you a few more moments of quiet companionship, because some feelings do not end neatly. They fade slowly, like light at the end of the day. There is something I have noticed about loneliness when we choose to be alone. It often changes shape over time. At first, it feels sharp, clear, almost logical. I need space. I don't want to talk. Then, after some time, it softens. It becomes less about wanting distance and more about wanting meaning. You might sit there and think, if I did talk to someone right now, what would I even say? This question matters, because sometimes loneliness is not about lacking people, it is about lacking language for what you feel. You feel something real, but undefined, and undefined feelings can feel heavy. There is a sentence in English that is very helpful here. I can't explain it, but I feel it. Say it slowly. This sentence honors your experience without forcing clarity too soon. You do not owe anyone a perfect explanation of your inner world. Not yet, maybe not ever. I think many sensitive people grow up learning how to be strong too early. They learn to be quiet, to handle things alone, to not ask for too much, and that strength becomes a habit. So when you want to be alone, it feels familiar, safe. But when loneliness appears, it feels confusing because you are used to carrying things by yourself. Let me say this gently. Being independent does not mean being untouched. Needing others does not mean being weak. It simply means you are human in a world that requires connection to stay warm. There is another small English phrase I want you to remember. I'm allowed to need people. Say it. This sentence can feel uncomfortable at first. That is okay. Growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels true. Sometimes, when you are alone and lonely, your mind may go back to past conversation, things you did not say, things you wish someone had understood. This is very common. The mind revisits unfinished moments when the world becomes quiet. Instead of fighting those thoughts, try offering them language. I wish I had said this. I wanted to be understood. I didn't feel safe enough then. These are not complaints. They are acknowledgments. Acknowledgement is healing. And healing does not require an audience. It only requires honesty. As you listen to this, maybe you are not trying to improve your English right now. Maybe you are just listening. That is still learning. Listening is how language enters gently, without pressure, just like connection. Before we truly connect with others, we often need to reconnect with ourselves, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, respectful way, sitting, breathing, naming what is present. I feel quiet. I feel unsure. I feel a little lonely. These sentences are enough. They do not need answers. They only need space. If there is one thing I hope you take from this time together, it is this. You do not need to rush away from loneliness, and you do not need to stay inside it forever. You are allowed to move slowly between states, between solitude and connection, between silence and speech. That movement is life, and every word you learn, every feeling you notice, helps you move with more awareness. I am glad you are here, truly. Let's keep going gently, without trying to arrive at a final answer, because some questions in life are not meant to be solved. They are meant to be lived with. I want to talk now about a quiet fear that often hides underneath loneliness, the fear of being a burden. When you want to be alone, sometimes it is not because you do not want people, but because you do not want to trouble them. You think, I don't want to bring my mood. I don't want to explain myself. I don't want to make things heavy. So you step back, and on the outside, it looks like independence. But on the inside, it can feel like isolation. There is a sentence in English that many people never allow themselves to say. I don't want to be alone with this. Try saying it slowly. This sentence does not demand help. It only names a truth, and naming a truth is often the first form of connection. I remember a time when I was sitting with a friend, both of us quiet, no deep conversation, no advice, just presence. And later, when I thought about that moment, I realized something important. I did not feel lonely, even though we barely spoke, because loneliness is not cured by words. It is softened by shared space. This is why sometimes, even online, listening to a voice can feel comforting, not because it gives answers, but because it reminds you that someone else is breathing too. You and I are doing that right now, breathing, listening, existing in the same moment, and that matters. Let me offer you another sentence to practice. I don't need solutions right now. Say it. This sentence protects your inner world. So often, people rush to fix feelings, but feelings are not problems. They are messages. Loneliness might be saying, I want to be known. I want to be accepted as I am. I want to rest without disappearing, and rest is important. There is a difference between hiding and resting. Hiding is driven by fear. Resting is driven by care. Only you can feel the difference inside yourself. If today you chose to be alone, ask yourself gently, am I hiding or am I resting? There is no wrong answer, only awareness, and awareness is growth. As an English learner, you might notice something interesting. When you learn words for emotions, those emotions become less overwhelming, not smaller, but clearer. Clear feelings are easier to carry. That is why language is such a gift, not to impress others, not to sound perfect, but to understand yourself. Let me say something very honestly. If you feel lonely often, it does not mean you are bad at relationships. It often means you are sensitive to depth. You want conversations that matter. You want presence, not noise. You want honesty, not performance. And that kind of connection takes time. Until then, there will be quiet spaces. Do not rush to fill them with self-criticism. Fill them with kindness. One last sentence. Before we slowly let this moment fade, I am learning how to be with myself. Say it. This sentence is powerful because it accepts where you are without judgment. And learning how to be with yourself is not lonely work. It is foundational work. From there, connection grows naturally. slowly, safely. Thank you for staying with me this long. Let me remain with you a little longer, because some parts of the heart only speak when they feel they are not being rushed. There is another quiet truth about loneliness I want to share. Sometimes, when you want to be alone, it is because you are tired of being misunderstood. You have spoken before. You have explained before, and still people heard something else, so you become careful. You choose silence not because you have nothing to say, but because you are protecting something fragile inside you. This kind of loneliness feels different. It feels like holding a glass cup very gently, afraid it might break if you move too fast. In English, there is a simple sentence that fits this feeling well. I don't feel understood right now. Say it slowly. This sentence does not accuse. It does not blame. It only names your experience. And naming is powerful. Many people think they feel lonely because they are alone, but often they feel lonely because they are unseen. Being unseen is heavier than being alone. I remember a moment when I was speaking to someone, explaining something important to me. They nodded. They smiled. They replied quickly, but inside, I felt something drop. They were listening, but they were not hearing. And later that day, when I was finally alone, the loneliness came. Not because I wanted company, but because I wanted recognition. This is a very human need. You are allowed to want to be understood. You are allowed to want your inner world to matter. And you are allowed to rest when it feels like too much effort to explain yourself again. There is another sentence I want you to try. I don't have the energy to explain today. Say it. This sentence is honest and kind at the same time. You do not owe constant clarity to the world. Sometimes choosing to be alone is choosing to preserve yourself, and preservation is not withdrawal. It is care. But here is the delicate part. If we preserve ourselves for too long, without gentle connection, loneliness grows louder. That is why balance matters. Not balance as a rule, balance as a feeling. Some days you need silence. Some days you need a voice. Neither makes you weak. I want you to notice something as you listen to this. You are listening to English, but you are also listening to yourself. You are noticing which sentences feel true, which ones feel close to your chest. That is learning. Real learning always involves recognition. Before we slowly come to a close, I want to leave you with a final thought to sit with. You do not need to disappear to protect yourself, and you do not need to perform to belong. There are ways of being that are quiet and still connected. A message that says, thinking of you. A presence without conversation. A shared silence that feels safe. Those are real connections too. And they begin with allowing yourself to be exactly where you are alone. Lonely. Resting. Searching without shame. Thank you for trusting this space. Let's let this moment settle. You do not need to take anything with you except the feeling of having been heard, even if only quietly, even if only inside yourself. If you are alone right now, let that aloneness be soft. If you feel lonely, let that feeling be a message, not a judgment. If you feel both at the same time, know that this is a very human place to stand. Nothing about you needs to be fixed tonight. Nothing about your English needs to be proven. Nothing about your heart needs to be rushed. You showed up. You listened. You stayed. That is enough. This is English with Thomas. I'm Thomas. Keep speaking, keep growing, and keep trusting yourself.